Me.
Only a little bit, I promise. Only a little. Enough to get by, I swear.
All right. Well, how are you doing today, Charie?
I am good. How are you?
Good. It's been quite a while since we've chatted.
I know. Man, I know.
Time just flies. How has this past year been for you?
Oh gosh. So let's just say last year was rough.
Yeah.
With everything happening with, coronavirus coming in and shaking up everybody's world.
Yeah.
Especially the nonprofit world because, businesses were starting to hurt. Things were slowing down for some of the local businesses. And so um 2020 was, I'll just say it was rough.
It
It was a
was.
learning experience altogether. But I think, just with everything that has happened and, taking that time to kind of adjust and move forward. I think this year will be definitely a good year for myself, the nonprofit, and everything going forward. So we've learned a
Yeah.
lot.
We sure have. We definitely have learned a lot. And I am hearing a lot of hopefulness and optimism and just tempered excitement for this year.
Yeah.
And I think with the warmer weather that's upon us, hopefully, that helps people feel a little bit better about where we're going, where we're heading, and hopefully
Right.
somewhere positive and good and um, maybe somewhere close to what we're used to.
Yeah. Definitely. It may not be completely back to normal, but our new normal, so to speak. A little bit of the
Absolutely.
old with the new.
Yes, yes. And with the changes that have happened this past year because of the pandemic, there have definite that these changes have impacted the um, pregnancy community, right? And
Absolutely.
um, how women are experiencing their pregnancies. I mean, something that a lot of people who aren't around pregnancy at this time aren't even familiar with, such as going to doctor's appointments by themselves,
Yeah.
because they're really limiting the amount of people that go into clinics, and so
Yeah.
it could be pretty lonely to be on this journey right now.
That is absolutely true. I think that by far is probably the hardest. I actually had a friend of mine or coworker that experienced her loss at the beginning of last year, and her husband wasn't there when she found out because he couldn't go inside of the office. So that was, rough for her and him because he had never been to any of the other appointments, so he never got a chance to actually hear the heartbeat and
Oh,
see the physician's words, that your baby is it no longer has a heartbeat, to hear that and you're alone. I talked to her, I don't know, I don't a lot, just kind of being encouraging, and I know it's rough, and I know it's even rougher being by yourself. That the pandemic has definitely changed a lot of things, and more so than not, I think it becomes a little bit more difficult for moms that have that experience during pregnancy. Because you sometimes you are absolutely okay, and that you have a healthy pregnancy, but then it could be that rare moment out of the blue that you go in for that appointment and something's just not right, whether
mhm,
the baby no longer has a heartbeat or you find out that there's something else wrong. And so to experience that by yourself,
mhm.
gosh,
Yeah.
I can only imagine. I wouldn't want to experience that by myself, and I know that it's going to be hard for moms that are doing that nowadays, because of the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah. I could clearly see how passionate you are about this topic. And so I definitely want to get going and talking about Elena's gift. But before we get to that, I want to introduce our viewers to you because you are the founder of Elena's Gift. And it's a wonderful nonprofit organization that I definitely would want you to share with with us today. But before we get there, like, if you can tell us a little bit more about who you are, who Charie is, I think that's a great way we could get started today.
Absolutely. So, like you stated, I am the founder of Elena's Gift. I am also a mommy to four, two angels and two little girls that I have with me that are 3 and almost a year and a half. So they are little balls of energy. Then I am stepmom to actually 3 more young men. So they are 21, 18, and 15. So they are they are well on their way to adulthood. So my husband has, those 3 from his previous marriage. And so we've got a total of what would have been, 7 kids. But we've got those 2 angels that are constantly, there with us. And we always try to acknowledge them whenever we can. But besides being mom and the nonprofit founder, in my, I guess you can say, real world or work world, I'm in law enforcement. One thing that I am very passionate about is being able to help others. And that was kind of the main reason why I went into the law enforcement field. My goal was to be able to touch younger people and show them a different side of policing. That, hey, here I am, a female, and I am a police officer, and here I am to my minorities. Hey, here I am, a Black female, that I'm a law enforcement officer, and you can do the same thing. So that is my 9 to 5, I guess you could say. I'm actually a recruiter for the department. So and I work for Virginia State Police. So I am a recruiter for them during the day, mom, founder of a nonprofit, and then I help my husband run his business, which is a mobile detailing company. So as you can see, I have a very busy and active life. But I try to find as much time as I can to help and work with others and help others, and then of course run each and every business and aspect of my life. So busy world, busy mom, but I wouldn't have it any other way, to be perfectly honest. I love the things that I do, from, being a mom to a wife to business owner to nonprofit founder, to even being in law enforcement. So I love each and every part of it.
Oh my gosh, when do you sleep? Oh my goodness.
Never, it seems like, to be perfectly honest. But I do catch a few hours of sleep every night, and then I'm back up rolling. I think here lately, coffee or cappuccinos have become my best friend.
Well, thank you for everything that you do. I mean, like, you just resonate giving and helping, and just from keeping our community safe to raising awareness of pregnancy loss, as well as developing little human beings. um, your 2 little girls right now have 3 big brothers, and their angel siblings. And I mean, like, your helping hand is touching so many places around the world.
Right, indeed, and it'll further grow here soon. I didn't mention it; it just came to mind. I'm actually in the process of becoming a doula, so to be able to serve both on the postpartum and what is the word I'm looking for? Bereavement side, as being a doula. So that'll go hand in hand with my nonprofit. That'll be a service that's offered from the nonprofit side, as far as being a bereavement doula,
Oh
and
my
of course
gosh.
pregnancy. So all total spectrum doula. So that'll come soon. Not not right now, but that'll come soon. So that's just me further extending my hands somewhat.
That's really exciting. When do you expect to be finished with?
So I actually take my last course this Sunday, and then I have, to actually do the work, right? So I've got
Yeah.
to go to births, and also have a bereavement client as well. So I've got some other certifications and or requirements in order to get the certification. So I foresee, maybe within the next 6 months to a year. It just depends on clientele. And how soon I can get people that are interested in having a doula, and then me
Mhm.
being able to help them out. So I'll give myself about 6 months to a year, and then I'll be fully certified and active, going forward.
Yes. Well, thank you for doing that. Doulas are amazing, an amazing help during this, not only the delivery process, but definitely, but not during the delivery, only during the delivery experience, but during pregnancy, postpartum as well. And then of course, with any sort of bereavement experience that a woman and or her family goes through.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to Elena's gift. And why don't you go ahead and let everyone know what it is and how it got started.
Cool, absolutely. So, Elena's Gift is an official 501(c)(3) nonprofit. We're based here in Woodbridge, Virginia, but we service pretty much the DMV area, so Maryland, DC, and Virginia right now. Hopefully, sometime in the future, we'll be able to service more moms across the country. But right now, we kind of focus on the DMV area. And basically, what we do is we assist those moms and their family with paying for medical bills that aren't covered by their insurance companies. So they can reach out to us and ask for assistance if they, have a financial need, and we'll either pay a portion or all of the medical bill, depending on the amount and, of course, the funds of the nonprofit, because we are a nonprofit, so we depend on donations from the community and local businesses. So there's several different factors and things that we take into consideration when we're, assisting those moms that are requesting financial assistance. But we also provide support for the families, because we know, not only does mom grieve, but dads grieve too. And so my husband is like the biggest advocate, where he's like, hey, don't forget about dads. He's like, I've experienced this with you. So we can't forget about the men that go, hand in hand with the moms, because, the mom may have carried the baby, but all in all, the mental capacity from dad, because the baby, maybe not, he has carried the baby, but in his heart and in his mind,
Mhm.
baby is always there. So, support for dad as well, and any support person, whether it's, the mom or dad of the parents. So yeah, that's grandma and grandpa. So we want to make sure that we support everybody. If you need the assistance, you just need somebody to talk to, we're there. And then also be able to provide resources for anything, whether you need counseling or anything like that, then we can provide those other resources as well. But our main focus, of course, is the financial assistance part. But we will start support groups this year. We have our official Angel Moms Club and Angel Dads Club, that my husband and I, will kind of run hand in hand, and just meet monthly, and just kind of just talk, because sometimes
Yeah.
I found that talking it out helps, and that's kind of what helped us get through our two losses, was, just talking to each other and saying how we felt, and it worked, so it helped. So
Mhm.
we decided to add that part to Elena's Gift, the Angel Moms Club and Angel Dads Club. So we will officially launch that either in April or May. Um, to have more, more support for those families that are out there. But we Elena's Gift got started basically from my second loss. Um, the first loss, we had no idea whether it was a boy or a girl. It was too early on to tell. I was probably about 5 weeks, almost six, back in 2016, and then in 2017 we learned we were pregnant again, and that pregnancy seemed to be going fine up until the first trimester screening, and then we learned that there was too much fluid, or a lot of fluid around the baby, and they wanted to know why, of course. So going to the maternal fetal office, they wanted to do tests and things to try to figure it out, and I had no idea about any of it. I just figured, hey, you're pregnant, you carry the baby, 9 months later, you deliver, no issues, no problems. Just, I guess, just never thought that I would experience anything like that. So we eventually did some tests. We learned that I was having a girl. So we had named her Alaina Michelle. And after the test results came back, we learned that she actually had what was called Turner syndrome. No idea what Turner syndrome was. I had never heard of it before. The doctors explained it, but of course, you go home and you want to do your own research. So you start looking up more stuff, and it's like, okay, well, that's what he said. So, all right. So we learned that Turner syndrome basically is when a girl baby only develops one X chromosome. So you're supposed to get two, one from mom, one from dad as a girl. But with Turner syndrome, you only get one. And then there is a low chance or a low percentage of the baby surviving during pregnancy. And if they do survive, then there's going to be like immediate surgeries that may have to happen after delivery, and also some other medical issues. Like they would have to see a cardiologist right away because it has some heart issues, and some other things that you would have to constantly have appointments for because of the issues that come along with Turner syndrome. My husband and I were definitely hopeful and prayerful that she would survive. At that point, it was like, I don't care what I've got to deal with. I don't care what medical bills that come about. I just want my baby. And at about 20 weeks, we went to our doctor's appointment, and I think it was a little over 20 weeks. But we went to the 20-week appointment just to kind of follow up. They had been monitoring me anyway, more than a normal pregnancy would be, just because they knew about the extra fluid. We went to the appointment, and we were told that she no longer had a heartbeat. And so that was kind of the roughest moment. But to be perfectly honest, like in my heart that day, I just knew something wasn't right. And I told my husband after the fact. But I just didn't want to face reality at that point. But I just had that feeling, and I guess that's that maternal instinct kind of that kind of kicked in.
Yeah.
And then to get the news to confirm it was hard. To be perfectly honest, they gave us some time in the room. We we cried like babies. I had no idea what to do, what was next. Like, what am I supposed to do now? Help, right? So the doctor came back in after a few minutes, and kind of gave us, the rundown of what was supposed to happen next, or what was going to happen next, and what we needed to do. So, scheduled the appointment the next day for delivery. Got a chance to hold her, and just cherish the moment, because that was the first and only time that I would be able to hold her and see her, before
Yeah.
the nurses came and took her away. We were able to take pictures. At first, I was really hesitant about pictures and about
Mhm.
holding the baby, because I'm like, I just didn't know. I didn't know how I felt, to be honest, like how I would feel. Um, but the moment I delivered her, I was like, yeah, we can take pictures. I will hold her. And I did, and that is a moment that I will never forget.
Yeah.
The that just those few minutes, even though she wasn't alive, and there was no crying after birth. When you hear the baby, the initial cry, there was none of that. But my heart was at ease, so to speak, because I knew the reason why, I knew what happened, and I was able to have those few moments with my husband and my mom in the room, to just cherish the moment, with all of us there. And eventually they took her away, and time went on, and then eventually months later I started receiving the medical bills from the different labs that we had work done at, and the hospital bill, and the doctor's office. So stuff started rolling in, and there that to me, there was no way that I was going to pay these, because I had no baby, to prove that this is what I went through.
Yeah.
So it was rough, for me to get past that point of, yeah, I'm not paying this because I don't have my baby. But eventually I knew that was still an obligation, something that I had to take care of. So we took care of those things. But as time went on, and the more and more I started doing my own research and finding support groups, and of course the hospital gives you a list of people to contact, and doing my own research, I realized that there were so many support groups for pregnancy loss. I had no idea. And I was able to reach out to people in those groups, whether it was Facebook or their a website or something, and talk to those people. And I saw that other moms had experienced the same thing that I did,
Yeah.
Even, a similar situation where I actually met a mom that she lost her daughter to Turner syndrome, which was crazy enough. And we shared stories and talked about the experience. And I realized that, hey, there is, something that I want to do to be able to help moms like me. Talked it over with my husband, prayed about it, and came up with Elena's gift. And I knew that there were, so many support groups and other organizations that would help with burial costs, or some that were specifically that covered infant death, and covering
Mhm.
autopsies and things like that. So there were groups out there, but I couldn't find one that helped with the cost, from medical bills from pregnancy loss. So I was like, that's it. That's what I will do. I will try to, conquer that side of support, and be able to financially help those individuals that need the help. Because I know not everybody has insurance. Not everybody has
Yeah.
insurance that's going to cover the loss. And so we didn't want to leave anybody out when it came to help. If, we set the parameters, there has to be a financial need. You have to, there's certain criteria that you have to meet. And we will do our best to pay the bill for you, either in full or a good percentage. So far, for the people that we've helped, we paid about 40% of the bill. So we are trying to keep that track record, with 40% of it. I think that helps out a lot. That relieves a lot of the stress, because as a mom to an angel, you're already grieving the loss of your child, and then in comes the stress of the financial worry now of, okay, I got to pay this bill, and those bills can be very expensive. They can be, just a couple $100s, or you can be, a couple $1,000,
Yeah.
depending on the loss and the situation. So, talking to, some other moms, and seeing that their bills were like, a couple, $2,000, 3,000. I've met mom, hers was like 16 or 17,000, to just talking to, others that were like, okay, well, mine was just, $400 here and another 60 or 70 over here. So it varies, and it depends
Hmm.
on insurance. Insurance,
Yeah.
whether you have it or not, and what the different procedures, the different types of tests. Like we did an amniocentesis for Elena, and so that was an extra added cost. Thankfully, the insurance company covered a portion of it. They don't cover all of it. And a lot of people, I think, don't realize that insurance companies don't cover everything. You would
Yeah.
think that they would, given the situation, and such a traumatic, loss, because nobody wants to experience a pregnancy loss. Nobody wants to go through, the those moments, up to the point of receiving the bills. You don't want to relive that, because getting those bills in the mail, that is a unwanted reminder that, even though you may have been grieving and finally getting to a point of, being able to move forward throughout the day, and really, fully function, but to get that, again, unwanted reminder that, via the bill, the medical bill, that you lost your child, that hurts. And that's
Hmm.
what I realized is just from my own experience. Like, that was just kind of like taking the bandage off again of the
Yeah.
wound, and reopening it. And that's kind of why we started, or not kind of, that is why we started it. Started Elena's gift, is, hey, let's do what we can, to help financially, to relieve some of that stress, to be able to support other moms and dads, like us, and do what we can to help. And let's continue to spread awareness about pregnancy loss, because a lot of people aren't aware
No.
that, hey, one in four females that are pregnant
Yep.
could experience a loss. And ironically enough, I was the 1 in 4. Literally, my friends, they're all four of us were pregnant around the same time. We were months apart or weeks apart. And I was that one, that, eventually experienced a pregnancy loss. They went on to have successful pregnancies and delivered in June, July, and August. And I was supposed to deliver my daughter on delivery date, or, due date was June 13th. But, it was two in June, one in July, and one in August. That's how close we were, with being pregnant. And then we all worked together. And so it wasn't as painful as they probably thought it was for me to see them continue on, it actually helped, because it was encouraging to me to know that, even though I've
Mhm.
lost, a baby, and I had a miscarriage, and now I guess what they consider an early stillbirth, or a fetal
Mhm.
demise with, being a second trimester loss, that, they went on to have successful pregnancies, and I can do the same. And so
Mhm.
that didn't stop me. It took me a minute for my husband and I to, get back, or to get together and say, okay, let's continue to try. And here we are with, two little ones running around now. So so yeah, so that's Elena's gift. That's why we started it. And that's my passion, I guess, in a
It
nutshell.
is, obviously. Thank you for providing all that information. You touched upon so many um, important pieces. I really appreciate your vulnerability and just really sharing your own story with everybody. I do want to take us back to the comments that you made about being apprehensive about holding Elena and taking pictures with her. And I'm a mental health clinician, and I previously worked in a hospital and would have to, one of my responsibilities would be to meet with a parent or parents, and it's very common for mom and or her partner to just really not know whether or not they want to hold their baby or
Yep.
and take pictures. I heard you say that it's those memories are what you actually cherish, and I would imagine those pictures are as well.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. It was one of those things that I really went back and forth with. The nurses would
Yeah.
come in and ask, and I will never forget, the nurse. She's at Novant Health in Manassas, and her name is Mary. But I will never forget her because she was there. Like, she really encouraged, um me throughout the entire thing. And I have to say, like, she did a great job, like, just being there, being able to answer my questions. I mean, the doctor, of course, he was always there, to let me know what was going to happen, and to talk me through things. But she was awesome. And ironically enough, she actually was there when I delivered my 3-year-old. She was there, and she was working when I actually went in to deliver my 16-month-old, but she was not there during the birth. She actually got off. We thought the baby was going to come during her shift, but she didn't come till afterwards. So she's awesome, and the funny thing is that she actually remembered me, when I came in. And we started talking immediately, but she was awesome. So I have to say that, sometimes some of the healthcare workers that are in the hospital, these nurses that work in labor and delivery, they've seen a lot of different things. But for her to be able to just be that how I guess just info, she was a wealth of information. Like, she was there to kind of say, hey, this is what will probably happen, this is what we will do, this is how things
Yeah.
will go. And she was just very encouraging through the entire thing. And so I have to, and I've thanked her a million times when I saw her, for my other 2 deliveries. But I just have to say that, sometimes those nurses are really, really there for you, and really can help you get through it, besides
Yeah.
having, the support system, your family and friends that are there with you.
Yeah. Kudos to the nurses and to Mary specifically. I definitely want to touch upon, like what you said, the main part of Elena's gift is really to help with medical expenses. And you mentioned that oftentimes people are just really not aware that a few months later, they're going to be presented with these bills and to be completely confused about the whole thing because you don't have a baby, but then there are now these financial obligations. And again, a reminder of just the pain that was experienced. And so it's like, how can a medical system be so callous, or how can a healthcare insurance company do this to me,
Yes.
right?
Right.
It's very confusing.
Yeah, those are my exact thoughts. Like, why would you not? Like, can we make an exception for, this particular case? Not saying that this takes priority over anything else, but for certain experiences, I believe that the insurance companies should be able to step up and say, hey, we've got this covered. Like, you know, I I guess that's just a wish that
Yeah.
one day that would happen. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy that people don't know that. I mean, I've talked to so many different people, especially being in a nonprofit world, and you've got to try to seek out sponsors and donors and things like that. And so when I explain what my nonprofit is for and what we do, then they're like, really? Like, I never knew that. And so I'm like, yes, that is true. And let me further educate you on a little bit more. And so I try to, give them as much information about pregnancy loss. And it's not just, males that don't know, it's females that don't know too, that
Yeah.
have no idea that, how common pregnancy loss could be. And then the fact that these insurance companies don't cover the entire thing, for everything that you do. Now, there may be some services that you get that may be fully covered, but
Mhm.
there's others that aren't. And so the mom and dad, or whoever, and their partner or whoever, they're left with the bill, and they've either got to pay it or not. And then we know the consequences of not paying it. So most parents want to get that taken care of.
Mhm. Absolutely. And this is why Elena's Gift is such an amazing organization to be able to help families at such a very challenging time emotionally, and to ease the stress, because it's not going to take it away. It's not going to bring a baby back, but there's just that added financial stress that contributes to the overall emotional well-being of the person and the family unit. And so Elena's Gift is just such a gift
Well,
for families.
yeah.
Thank you for citing the prevalence of pregnancy loss, 1 in 4. And when we do talk about pregnancy loss, sometimes people are not familiar with, well, pregnancy loss in the first, just the concept of pregnancy loss, but what it is. And it could be certainly anything from miscarriage to stillbirth, fetal demise. There are also women that terminate their pregnancies for medical reasons, and then also abortions as well. There's an emotional impact for any kind of loss during a pregnancy.
Absolutely. I 100% agree.
I wanted to talk a little bit about um, just so, because I'm a mental health provider, how uncomfortable it is for people to be in this space. Um, Sometimes what I hear is our friends, our family, the people that we care about and that we love really say inappropriate things to us.
Mm.
And it's not because they're trying to be mean or there's any ill intent. It's the discomfort that people feel that in regards to um, a child dying, a baby dying, and getting a grasp of how can a mother and or father be grieving so strongly over a child that they really never met or
Hmm.
an opportunity to spend time with. And I think that makes it probably easier for people for them to move on.
Yeah. So, I will say I've heard a number of different things that have been told not only to myself but to others that have experienced a loss that I've talked to. From it's okay, you'll have another, or at least you weren't as far along, or the baby was not a baby yet,
Yeah.
or you'll be okay. That's like the number one probably. And yeah, I know I'll be okay, but that's not what I want to hear at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think some people, and I've said it before in previous conversations, some people just don't know how to respond. They don't, because they've never experienced it, and so they want to be helpful and encouraging, but sometimes the things that they say just don't come out right.
Yeah.
And so for me, for my suggestion for anyone would be, if you could just be a listening ear. Sometimes the mom and the dad, they just want to talk about it. They
Mhm.
just want someone there that will sit and just listen. Because whether or not, the baby lived for a few hours, or whether or not they lost the baby in, during some part of the pregnancy, either way, that baby was a baby,
Yeah.
and it was growing inside of the mom, and that mom instantly had an attachment to that baby.
Yep.
There was love there from both mom and dad.
Yeah.
And even though, if it was a pregnancy loss, even though the baby didn't live outside of the womb, it still lived.
Yeah.
So, there depending on how long, that person was pregnant, there was moments where they could have felt the baby kick, saw moved, so there's an attachment, and then there's a love there. So you can't downplay, the loss of a baby, or a pregnancy. And so my suggestion to anyone that wants to support their friend or family member that has experienced a pregnancy loss, or even an infant loss, or a stillbirth, is just to be there to listen. Sometimes that's all we want. I know dads grieve differently. Sometimes, it is just a moment of getting out of the house, or getting out of that hospital room and just walking or taking a ride. They just need some free time. They just need to clear their minds, and that is totally fine. Men are totally different when it comes to, dealing with grief. And I've watched my husband, and saw, some of the, and with him, it was just like, okay, I'll be back. And I understood that you just need a moment. And so take your time, because I need mine too. So just take your time. And just having that support, like I said, just having that support person there to just listen. And even though you may not really know what to say, you know, just think about what you're going to say before you say it. If you find that you want to say something, just put yourself in their shoes, and try to imagine how you would receive it if someone said to you, well, at least your baby wasn't, born yet, or at least, you can get pregnant. Like, yes, I know I can get pregnant, but I didn't want to lose this child.
Mhm.
So don't tell me that. Like, I know you want to help and you want to be encouraging, but just think before you speak, or just be a listening ear, or send flowers, send food, um, or just send a card, some card with some encouraging words on it, just to let the person know that you're there and that you're thinking
Yes.
about them and that you care. That will help.
Absolutely.
That'll help a lot more than saying any of those other things that I've said.
Yeah, I appreciate all those suggestions, and thank you for telling our listeners about those recommendations, because really catch yourself when you start with at least, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, and there's this cartoon, a very short one, by Brene Brown, where she talks about that, about starting with at least is not going to be helpful.
Mm.
But also, what people are doing is they're silver lining a situation. And there is no silver lining when you lose your baby. Um,
Absolutely.
and so just being there in that space is so meaningful for the person. But if that's just too hard for you, a card, flowers, like you said, a note, an email, a text. And to your point about the baby being a baby, regardless of whether or not the baby died in utero or some other time during its development, um, as soon as the woman becomes pregnant and as soon as the partner knows that there's pregnancy, that's, like you said, the connection starts, the
Yes.
fantasies, the dreams, the ideas of what life is going to be like
Yep.
with everybody starts right then and there. And
Yep.
then all of a sudden it's taken away, not, and it's out of our control.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's what's just so devastating.
Absolutely.
So I definitely want people to be able to contact you. If you can share all your contact information and how people can reach out if they have any questions, and most especially if they want to financially contribute to Elena's gift, how would they be able to do that?
So of course our website, alainasgiftinc.com. You can of course follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah, those are the only two we have, right? Oh, and LinkedIn. I had to think about it for a second because we're trying to branch out more into the social media world. So right now it's Facebook and Instagram. You can find us at Elena's Gift Inc. On both platforms, and then of course on LinkedIn we are there as well. To donate, we have PayPal. If you just type in, I think it's paypal.me slash Elena's Gift. You can, that'll go directly to our donation page. There's also a donate button on the website. So if you go to the website, donate is, I believe, at the top corner. We also have Cash App. I know a lot of people nowadays would prefer to use Cash App. So you can send us donations through Cash App at Elena's Gift, with of course the dollar sign. So that's your Cash App. And I think PayPal, Cash App, and the website. Those are the
Yeah.
main three there for donations, and of course more info. All of our events. We've got a lot of things coming up this year. Thankfully, we are getting notifications of new or newer restrictions or the for COVID.
Mhm.
So we're gonna kind of hopefully get back to some outdoor stuff, but we're gonna make sure that we remain COVID safe. So you can find all of our upcoming events on our social media pages and on our website. Our biggest two things coming up in May and June. We've got our Mommy and Me Fitness Day at Occoquan Regional Park. In years past, we did it as a fun run, but this year we decided to change it up and kind of do it as a fitness thing, just to promote, health, along with, the wellness part, and then of course still educating about pregnancy loss. And then we have our car show. First time we are doing a car show because we've got to involve the dads. And my husband is a car nut, so to speak. Um, he is all things cars. That's why he has the mobile detailing company. So car show is next for us in June. We're doing that at the Potomac Mills Mall in Woodbridge. So we've got all that stuff set up. And of course, we're going to make sure that we are COVID safe and follow all guidelines and restrictions. And so tickets probably will be sold in waves, at different time frames, just to
Yeah.
make sure that we stay within guidelines and don't exceed the capacity for outdoor events. That all that stuff is on Eventbrite, and again, it'll be on our website. So and Facebook pages. I update Facebook and Instagram a lot more than the website, so you can definitely get updated info on Facebook and Instagram when you're following us. So just follow us and find us, Elena's Gift, and of course share our info to anyone that's needing help or wanting to donate. We'll take it. We'll help you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for all of that information. I can't wait to join you at those events.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for your time today. I mean, we could hear and appreciate how busy you are. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here. You're absolutely right. Raising awareness for pregnancy loss is very, very necessary. And because it is an unfortunate experience that happens to many, many people quite often. And so thank you so much for your organization and for being here today.
Yep, no problem. Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And I can't wait to see you again in person at some of the events. So I'll definitely make sure I reach out to you. And I just want to say, to all the moms and dads out there that have experienced a pregnancy loss, be encouraged. Just know that there is a brighter day, and that there are people out there that will support you, and will listen. And that person may be a family member, it may be a friend, or it may be, someone in another organization, or you can contact me. I'm always open and willing to just listen or to just talk about my experiences. I'm definitely at a place now where I can be more encouraging and share my experience a little bit more. To the mom and dad out there that have the angels, just be encouraged. Just know that you are loved and supported, and you're not in it alone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.